In this video, I'm going to show you 20 JQL queries that every single person should know. I'm going to be breaking these up into 5 different categories. So I'm going to give you JQL queries for developers, for product managers, for project managers, for executives, and then for everyday users. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like, and at the end, I'm going to give you an added bonus of my favorite JQL query. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end. Let's jump into it. All right, so here I am inside of Jira, and the first thing you want to do is you want to go to where you conduct your JQL. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this, but my preferred method is to click on the search button up here, go all the way to the very bottom, and then click on view all work items. Once you're there, you're going to be in one of two different modes. You're either going to be in this basic mode, which is going to kind of work. It's a drop down. It basically allows us to create JQLs, but to really get the full effect of this video, we're going to switch over to JQL. So make sure you are in JQL. Now, the reason I like being in this particular view and not through the project is that this is going to default to seeing all the data inside of Jira, not just one specific project. However, if you want to limit this and only see your specific project, you can either A, go through your project, or B, the first query you should have is project equals and then the name of your project. Again, I'm going to keep it open just to bring back a lot of data. And also keep in mind that at the end of the day, Jira is only going to show you work items that you have access to. So you don't have access to them, it's not going to come back in the search. All right, let's start off with our JQL for developers. We are going to start off with a couple of just get your feet wet and work our way up. And so the very first query we want to start with is finding the work items that are assigned to you in the current sprint. Now, this does assume that you are now in a project, so you can limit the scope of a current sprint. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to project equals all in prep. And the and statement here allows us to group one statement and the other. And what this means is that both statements need to be true. Otherwise, the JQL is going to return back 0. So keep that in mind. So we're going to do projects is all in prep and assignee. And here is where you have a little bit of freedom and flexibility. You could hard code your name. You could put your name in here, or what you can do is just use current user. And what's beautiful about this is that if you share this filter with other people, then whoever is looking at the JQL is going to assume them as a current user. And so this makes the JQL a little bit more dynamic. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to do one more and statement, and we're going to do sprint. And this is where things get a little bit more complex. So far, we've been using the equal sign, but you can do that. However, there's a couple of other functions that we have here, like is and in. And so for this particular case, we're going to go for in. And then this is going to give us a couple of other different things that we can do, like is the sprint empty? Is it closed? Is it a feature sprint, or is it an open sprint? And so we're going to go with an open sprint. And then once we're there, we're going to hit enter. And as you can see, I currently have 3 items that are assigned to me in this current sprint. The nice thing is that now that you have a JQL, if you want to save it, you can simply click on Save Filter here, give it a name, like my open items in current sprint, and then I can share it with my organization, or just share it with my team, or share it with my specific project. Make sure you click on Add. In this case, I'm sharing it with everybody. Click on Save, and now this filter is going to be shared, and I can actually give somebody this link to this particular filter, or use it in a dashboard, and then people are going to be able to see this information. Again, because of the current user, every person looking at this particular filter, the results are going to be different for them so that it shows them their data. Next up, let's talk about bugs. Bugs are one of the biggest pains in my butt, and I want to be able to see any bug that is assigned to me that is currently unresolved. So we're going to just say assignee equals current user. We're going to get rid of all this other text over here. And then we're going to do and issue type. Now keep in mind that Atlassian is going through a transitionary period right now. And so this should technically be work type, but not everything has caught up yet. Equals bug. And this is going to be the most important part. We would want the resolution to be unresolved, because I don't care to find bugs that are already fixed. I want to see all the ones that are assigned to me that aren't fixed. So when I hit enter, that's going to bring back every bug that is assigned to me that hasn't been fixed. So this is one bug that I should go and take care of now. Now, in the spirit of Agile, you're technically not supposed to assign the work to individuals. You're supposed to just let the team self-organize. So in that spirit, what we're going to do is we're going to find all of the unassigned work in the current sprint and just figure out if we need to pick up anything. And there's always a great query, because if you have finished your last task and you're looking for something new to do, then we can easily go and find work that needs to be done but isn't currently assigned to someone. So we're going to do sprint again in, and we're going to do current sprint and assignee is empty. And when we do that, this is going to bring back anything that's in the current sprint where there is no assignee. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of items. Now, because we are doing open sprints, this is going to do all the sprints. So if you wanted to limit it, remember I told you at the beginning, you can put project equals and then put in the name of your project. I'm going to do turkey and then put a sprint in there. And then when I hit enter, this is only going to bring me the open items that are not assigned to anyone in an active sprint in this particular project. So it starts becoming a little bit of a mouthful, but these would be the items that if I finish something and I don't have anything else on my plate, I would want to go and tackle these. And so I would definitely want to save this filter and make sure that it's bookmarked and starred by everybody on my team so that when they are finished with their work, if they finish their work early, they can go and start working on another task that hasn't been worked on by somebody. And then finally, as a developer, let's find all of the work that's assigned to us, but it's in a status of code review because then somebody's expecting us to help with the code review process. And so very similarly, we're going to do status equals code review. And then we're going to do and assignee is equal to me. So we're going to do current user again. And this is going to find all the work that's currently in the status of code review assigned to me. And so as you can see, I have one item that is currently assigned to me and it's in a status of code review. So this is going to mean that somebody is expecting me to do a code review. And so I better go get on that. Let's switch over to some JQL for executives. So if you're an executive, these are going to be some important JQLs that you're going to be interested in. Let's assume that we want to see all the epics that are in progress across our company. So we're going to do issue type. Again, this could potentially be changed to work type later. So make sure you use either issue type or work type depending on where Atlassian is with their deployment. We're going to do equals epic, and we're going to do status category, which is the color coding, equals in progress. Now, whenever you have two words, you need to put your query in quotes. So this is going to basically keep it as one string, one word. And so do know that if you have spaces, you do need to put all the words inside of quotes so that Jira treats it as one single item. I'm going to click on enter. And this is going to find me every epic across all the projects that are currently in a status category of in progress. Now, a couple of things for you to be aware of. Again, if you're an executive and you're not in every Jira project, then this list is going to be more limited. So make sure you are added to all the Jira projects that are important to you. And second, the status is less important. This is going to work for any blue status. So as you can see here, I can change them to alpha. I can change these to various different blue statuses, and they are still going to stay in my results because this is not looking at the status of being in progress, but rather the color of the status being blue. So very helpful if you're trying to just find everything that's in flight. Now, if we wanted to do everything that's in to do and in progress, we're going to do this one as a bonus. We would change this as instead of an equal, we would do an in, we put a parenthesis, then we leave in progress, and then we're going to do comma, and then we can do the to do. And so that way, this is going to return us every epic that isn't done. And so this list is going to be a little bit bigger. In this case, we have 154 items down here. And so this is going to show us, again, not just one category, but two. Every epic that hasn't been moved to a status category of done. Next up, let's go look for blockers. So in this particular case, we're going to do status equals blocked. And we're just going to leave it at that. We just want to see what's blocked. Now, there's a couple of different ways that your team's going to block items. This is just one way. Another way that you can do is you can do flagged. And then you can do is not empty. And that's also going to bring back any item that has been flagged. So your team should either be moving items to a status of blocked, or they should be flagging the item, and that's going to bring it up in this query. I would recommend you have either both methods or encourage your team to use the flagged one because that's the better method. And now let's play with some dates. Let's assume that we want to find everything that has been finished in the last month. From an executive perspective, we always like to see what our team has been able to finish. And so this is where JQL gets a little bit trickier. And so bear with me here. So we're going to find every item that has been completed within the last month. And so we're going to do status category equals done. And then we're going to do resolved, not resolution, but this time we're going to do resolved and resolved. Here, this is going to be our resolved date. So when did this thing actually get moved to done? And this is where things get a little tricky because we're doing less than and greater than, and they get a little bit harder. And to add insult to injury, we also then start doing negative numbers in here. So I'm going to do start of month, and inside of there, I'm going to put a -1. And then I'm going to do the same thing with resolved. But this time, I'm going to flip the bit here, and we're going to do less than or equals to end of month. and then we're going to do -1. So this is taking us basically to the start of the month from last month. We're going back 1 month, and then to the end of the month last month. And so that's going to take us from the 1st to the 31st of the previous month. And so when I do that, that's going to bring me back whatever I finished within that month. So expect this list to be big or small, depending on the true output and performance of your team. Now, one more for you all. If you use labels, and maybe we have a labels where we're categorizing things, maybe we have them linked to OKRs or whatever else you may have, you may want to find your work that is tagged to a specific label. So as an executive, if your team is trained to put items into a specific bucket, maybe there's a custom field that surfaces things to you as an executive, or maybe you just use a basic label and you just want to say, hey, this is my label, and this label is the item that my executive cares about. So if I ever want to make sure that I escalate something to my executives, then I'm just going to add this label again, or a custom field. But regardless of which method we pick, let's just find all the work that my team wants me to look at as an executive. So I'm going to do this simple labels equal this is my label, and this is going to surface all the work that has this label. Now, of course, you can fine tune this where you can do specific assignees, you can do specific priorities, you can do specific statuses, you can check to see if the work is resolved or unresolved. In this particular case, all this work is open, but if I wanted to fine tune it, you just add those and statements and pick other fields to fine tune this information. All right, so let's move on to project managers. So as a project manager, you're going to be interested in very specific data. So let's start off by finding our overdue tasks. And so this one's pretty easy. We're going to do due date. And then we're going to do is less than now. And notice that this is a function. So this is going to take all the work and find anything that's due now. Now, if I just do this, this is going to bring back everything that has a due date that was previously set to before today because of the less than now. However, we're seeing items that are done. And so what we want to do is we want to do end resolution equals unresolved, because when we do this, this is going to bring back anything that's overdue that isn't already done. Because if it's done, then I don't care for it and I don't want to see it. So this particular item would be all the work that is overdue. And again, you can always save the filter and make a brand new filter for overdue items. Then your team's going to be able to easily always find those overdue items. Now, as this project manager, we're always interested in knowing which work hasn't been estimated, because unestimated work is work that is going to potentially cause some scope creep on us. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do standard work types. And as you can see, Atlassian is kind of changing. They're transitioning from issues to work types. And so we're going to do issue type is in standard work types. And what this means is this is going to take all level zeros. So technically all the things that you should be putting into your sprint, like your stories, your bugs, your tasks, and etc. We're going to close this off. And so the issue type is in one of those, and we're looking for story points being empty. Now we want to use story points. Story point estimate is for team managed projects. Story points is for company managed projects, which you should all be using. And then we're going to do is empty. This is going to find any story task bug that is currently a standard work item type, and the story points are completely empty. And so as you can see here, all of this work here needs some story points. And now to take it a step further, you can always kick out all those items that are resolved by adding this unresolved one. And now this is only going to bring us anything that's missing story points that hasn't been finished. So the list gets a little bit smaller. Hi, I quickly wanted to interrupt your video to let you know about something big that I've been working on. I'm working on the Big Book of Atlassian, and this is going to be given exclusively away to attendees that show up to the Atlassian Builder Summit happening October 22nd through the 24th in Long Beach, California. This is a completely free event, a completely free book that you can only get if you come to our in-person event. This is something that's super awesome. I am really happy to be putting this together. You can only get this in person. So make sure that you attend our very free event. All you need to worry about is your travel accommodations. We do have discounts for hotels. Use that link down below. Sign up for the Atlassian Builders Conference, and I hope to see you in October, and come secure your free copy of the Big Book of Atlassian. I'll see you in October. Now, earlier I showed you how to find work that is blocked by either using a status of blocked or using the flag to indicate that the item is blocked. There is a different way to block items, and that is to add a link between two work items, and you can do a blocks and blocks by. So in this case, I'm going to show you how to create a JQL to find items that are blocked using that is blocked and blocked by condition. So we're going to do issue link type equals, and this is where we're going to have a list of all of our different relationships. So we're going to do is blocked by, and resolution is unresolved. So this is going to show us every work item that is currently blocked by something and isn't finished. And so this list is going to be a hit list, right? We want to go after these items because these items are blocked and they haven't been finished. So as a project manager, this is going to be my list to go and start helping people make some progress so that we can unblock people. And then finally, as a project manager, we want to bucketize our work because not all work is created equal, and we do have roadmaps. We put work inside of buckets called releases. And so here we're just going to show you how to find the fixed version equals, and then you can go either to the next earliest unreleased version or the latest released version, or you can explicitly call out a release. Now we're going to use the earliest unreleased version, and so this is going to use the start and the due dates of releases to help us find items that are in a version that is going to be coming up soon. And so in this particular case, we have 99 items that are in the next earliest release. And so these items, depending on when your release date is a list of you to go and help make sure that they get completed, right? So again, we can fine tune this by doing and resolution equals unresolved. So that way we only see the items that are flagged for a next release, but they haven't been resolved yet. And so this particular list of 52 items is what we're going to want to go. So you can see here, I have 52 on the bottom. We want to go and figure out why are these items not being fixed, right? Why are they not done? We have an impending release coming up real soon, but they aren't resolved yet. So that's going to be that list. All right, let's move on to the product managers. We're going to have a list of JQLs, just like the other three types of individuals. We are not going to be looking at JQL specific to the product managers. So first, let's just find every high priority item that is in our backlog. So we're going to do status in, and we're going to do to do. And then we're going to do backlog. Depending on how your Jiras are set up, you might have items in to do, you might have items in backlog. And then we're going to do priority. And then we're going to do another in, because we don't know which priority things are going to be in, but they might be in critical, they might be in highest, or they might be in high. This allows us to cast a wide net, and we're going to find everything that's basically in to do or backlog, and it's a super high priority item. These 41 items here, these are the ones that we want to go and address. We want to take immediate action. We need to start either decomposing epics down, or we need to start making sure that these stories are planned to a sprint and or assigned to an individual so that somebody can start working on these. These are super critical. Now let's get a little bit more fancy here. We're going to find all of the work that is unestimated. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to leave these items, but we're going to do and story points is empty. And when we do that, we're going to find all the work that hasn't been estimated. So from that 50, we're down to 28. Now we can fine tune this even more. And we're going to do assignee is empty, which is basically unassigned. And this is going to fine tune this list even further. So it's going to show us everything that's in the status of to do and backlog, super high priority, doesn't have any story points and hasn't been assigned to anybody. And we can even go and sprint is empty. So this means that it's not even planned into a sprint. And so this list is now down to 20 items here. These 20 items here do not have any assignees. They are the highest priority. They haven't been estimated. And if we wanted to fine tune it even more, right, we can do and fixed version is empty. And so nobody has been looking at these. These are completely empty. We have 15 items here that are super critical, but nobody's touched them. And so we have some problems here. And so this is how you can fine tune and you can get more granular and add even more complexity to your JQL to find very specific data. All right, let's find all of our epics that don't have any children. These are epics, key requirements that we know we want to deliver, but our team hasn't decomposed them. And so in this particular case, instead of doing the main search we've always been doing, you're actually going to want to go to your Jira project, and you're then going to want to click on all work. Make sure you are back on JQL, and make sure that over on the far right, you click on these ellipses and make sure that show hierarchy is turned on. This is going to play a critical role. And the reason that is because this functionality is not native to Jira. And so we're going to do a little bit of a hack to help you find this information. However, you do need some sort of a plugin if you wanted to do this a little bit more natively in JQL. But because we don't, we're going to work around this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to type in the name of our project, which should already be set, but we just want to do and issue type equals epic. And when we do this, when we do the search, this is going to show us every epic. Now keep in mind, we're looking for a little arrow here because when we do that, then that work is going to show us that it's decomposed. For example, if I remove this and I just show all the work in here, you can see that this item here has an epic and we can see the children of it. But if we don't see the children, then that means that that epic doesn't have any children. So in order to do this, we want to leave the project equals the name of your project. And then we're going to do order by epic. And that's going to put the epics at the top. And what we're looking for is this little icon here. If this epic doesn't have any children, then you're not going to see this icon. And so when you see the icon, that means that there's children. But if it doesn't have an icon, for example, this epic here, implement container, it doesn't have any children. And so in this particular case, this is one epic that we will want to start looking into, because this is one that's going to need to be decomposed. And then finally, for the product managers, our goal is to put things into roadmaps. And in order to do that, we put those items into fixed versions. And so we're going to be looking for a very specific fixed version. And we're just going to be seeing what items are in this next release that is next on our roadmap. And so this is going to bring you back every item that is in that release. And again, you can always fine tune this to either show unresolved work or unassigned work or whatever else, high priority work, whatever is more important to you. Now let's talk about JQL for everyday users. These are just going to be easy things that everybody should know. Let's start off with my open issues. This one's going to be assignee equals current user. Again, you can put your name explicitly, but if you wanted to share this with other people, you can always make a generic JQL that is going to be shareable and then everybody can use. And so this is going to show you all the work that's assigned to you, but you might probably want to get a little bit more specific because this is going to bring you back everything, including all the work you've done. So make sure you add that resolution equals unresolved to make sure you only bring your open work that is assigned to you. This list is going to be a lot better. Now, let's just say that we want to jog our memory and we want to look at all the work that we've created. And so we can actually do reporter equals, and again, you can put a specific user or we can just do current user. And then when we do that, this is going to show all of the work that we've reported. Again, if we wanted to find all of that work that's unresolved, then we're going to do resolution equals unresolved, and that's going to give us everything that we've reported that is currently not finished. Now, if we wanted to look up work that was recently updated, all we need to do is click on updated and do a greater than equals to -7D. And that's going to bring us back all the work that's been updated within the last 7 days. And then finally, if you just want to see all the unresolved work, we just simply do resolution equals unresolved. And that's going to bring you back all the work that isn't finished. Now, if you wanted to fine tune this, you can always do and project equals Turkey. And that's going to fine tune this search to just the items that are unresolved in this particular project. And as I promised, I want to give you my favorite JQL that I use a lot. Now, this one only really works if you are a premium or enterprise user of Jira. And the reason that this query is special is because it will find you all the descendants of a specific work item. So if you're using something like an initiative or a project, something above the epic, then you're going to be able to find every descendant downstream, all the possible paths. So this is one of my favorite queries because I like to take this query that finds every descendant, and then I like to build dashboards off of this data so we can see all of the important work that's under a specific initiative or a project or something very, very important to you and your company. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to find our initiative. So in this particular case, I have an initiative right here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into issue in, and then we get a lot of different functions like we looked at earlier, but this is the one we're looking for, portfolio child's issue up. If you do not see this, then that means you are not on the premium version of Jira, and then this is not going to benefit you as well. Now this is case sensitive, so type in MP-2 and hit enter. And what that's going to do is going to find you every descendant. And so this particular initiative has a feature of MP4, it has an epic MP1, and then that epic has 2 stories with 1 bug associated to it. So if we were to look at this in our plans, you would see the entire hierarchy here, but this is just going to show you every work item. So whenever anybody adds a new story or they add more epics or they add new features, as long as they're tagging their parent correctly, this list is going to dynamically grow with this. And so you can then save this as a filter for this particular initiative, and you always have all the work for it. And folks, there you have it. 20 plus 1 extra bonus, bringing us to a total of 21 JQL queries that everybody should know. If you enjoyed this video, let me know down below because I do have a list of another 20 that I think are going to be a little bit more challenging, a little bit more advanced. So let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see some slightly more advanced JQLs, but these should get you started and these should get you more comfortable with understanding how JQL works and hopefully turning you into a JQL expert. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this with all of your colleagues, every coworker that you think can benefit from knowing how to use JQL a little bit better. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.